Welcome back to Working Class Customs YouTube channel. Welcome back once again to Stable B. This is our favorite place most of the time. At least my favorite place to hang out with you guys. I prefer the racetrack, but it's winter, it's cold outside. None of the racetracks are open yet. We got some bigger plans for later in the year. So please stick around on the channel to see those plans that we got coming up. We're gonna hit some sweet tracks this year, get you guys a lot of good track content. So stick around. To do that, easiest way to do it, click the subscribe button down below. While you're there, throw a like on this video. And then please, you guys in my comments that are track day junkies or club racers or you've been riding motorcycles for a long time, I think what I have to say in this video is gonna hit home with you guys. So please throw me a thumbs up down in the comments or a yes sir you got it or whatever it might be that you agree with me. You don't agree with me, that's okay. This is the internet. Opinions are all over the place and I understand that. So if I'm saying something that might be off, also please let me know. I accept feedback. I love feedback in both directions. I'm trying to grow myself, trying to grow this community, always trying to learn. I learn from you guys the best, so please let me know down in the comments. And then on the opposite side, if you're newer here, haven't done your first track day yet, or maybe you've done a couple, and you got questions about everything I'm saying, throw in the questions, but also read those comments from the other guys, veterans of track day riding, if you will, that have been doing it for a while. Read their comments, see what they're saying, and hopefully you gain some insight. What we're here to talk about today, I got my trusty track bike, Gixxer 750, and we're gonna talk about the do's and don'ts of bike upgrades for the racetrack. And I decided this needed covered because I've been asked several times, hey, what should I do to my bike? You know, I'm gonna go do this track day, what should I do to my bike? And we're gonna kind of dig into that question, dig into some of the things people ask me, should I do this? And then dig into some of the things that I've said, no, go do this instead. Or, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we'll cover the things that I think, go ahead and get these on your bike or get this done to your bike. And then the other things I would say, no, not even worth it. You're wasting your time. We'll kind of dig into why I say those things. So as I just said, I've been asked several times, several people, they know I go to track days. They know I'm kind of doing that thing. They're like, hey, I want to get into track days. What should I do to my bike? And I give them like a quick list of stuff that I would do, where I send them through the, like, you'll have to tape it. You'll have to, you know, make sure all the bolts are tight, make sure all the fluids are good, it's not leaking, just kind of the basic safety stuff of a track day. And that wasn't what they wanted. And I'm not gonna give you guys that today because you can head out on YouTube and there are so many videos of like how to get your bike ready for the first track day, how to tape it, how to take the fuse out for your headlights, taillights. I've done a little bit of that myself, but I'm not gonna like overdo that. Today we're gonna talk about bike upgrades for the track. And the number one thing that makes me upset when people ask, and that I've been asked more than once, is how can I get more power in my bike? How can you get more power in your bike? This bike right here, which is not a leader bike, and I haven't done anything too specifically to make more power. It does have some mods on it that someone else put on it to get more power out of it. The only reason I went and got a dyno tune was to ensure that my fuel to air ratios were done correctly, so I wasn't messing up the internals, but I don't want more power out of it, and there's reasons behind that. It makes 143 horsepower. That little tiny engine in there makes 143 horsepower. Leader bikes, brand new ones off the lot, are making over 200 horsepower. They weigh 400 to 450 pounds. That's almost half of horsepower per pound. That is unheard of. It's insane. And what I'm gonna argue today is that you're never gonna use it. And like I said, you track day veterans, junkies, whatever, even club racers, higher levels, even most Moto America racers would probably tell you this. It is gonna be hard for you to use as much power as your bike puts out, almost guaranteed. And I have a couple arguments that I'm gonna throw out here. Hopefully, maybe we're gonna break the internet today, who knows, but I hope you listen to them, take them on board. You don't need more power in your bike, period. Guarantee it. Until you can use all of the power the bike has, there's no point in adding more. It's gonna actually probably make you a little bit slower because the bike's gonna scare you more and it's gonna be harder to use. The other thing I would say to that is that if you're gonna go out to your first track day and you're gonna get like wickedly in shape and make sure you're running a lot every day and getting your lung capacity up and being able to handle racing for an hour to 2 hours on end, and if you're gonna go out and get your body in good physical shape, then maybe you can think about adding power to your bike. But if you're not willing to put in the time for yourself, why would you worry about your bike having more power? That would be like another one of my arguments against it. But the biggest reason why I would say that putting more power in your bike and doing exhaust with a tune to get more power, or just a tune to get more power, or putting velocity stacks in there to get more power, or should I run race gas to get more power, you're not gonna use it. Now, if you've been racing for a long time and you're at that point where you're maxing your bike out, you're full throttle everywhere, full throttle to full brakes, back to full throttle, you're doing turns just as tight as the guy in front of you and he's still pulling away from you, then please go down that road. Also, you're probably not watching this video anyway. So if you're watching this video looking at what to do to my bike before I go to my first track day, the do's and don'ts of bike upgrades for the track, power is not what you need in your bike. That was the don'ts. The biggest don't of the day is power. That's it. You just don't need more power in the bike. But the do's of things to do to your bike before your first track day. Again, this isn't how to prep your bike to pass tech or any of that. This is just things that I would suggest doing to your bike that are gonna help the bike out and help you out and hopefully save you some money in the long run. And a lot of them, if you're looking at getting into racing, a couple of these are gonna be required for racing anyway. So we'll get into that. But my first question for you is, what are you gonna do to yourself before you go to your track day? And we just kind of talked about how you're probably not gonna get in wicked good shape and work out a ton and try and be super fit and healthy. That's fine. Not a fitness channel, not a health channel. Not trying to tell you should go do that, but what you are gonna do, because it's required, is go buy yourself a helmet and some boots and gloves and a suit. And all of that is protection for you so that if you crash your bike, you don't die. And hopefully stay out of the hospital as much as possible. That's all required. What the track doesn't always require is the same stuff, but for your bike. So what I would suggest that you do to your bike is the same thing you would do to yourself. Think about all the protection that you put on yourself in case you go down, and apply that to a motorcycle. So we're gonna cover a few of those things and kind of talk through them. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and cover like a couple upgrades that if you're really just trying to, you got that money burning a hole in your pocket and you really got to spend it on something, some upgrades that might help you out for a track day, especially if it's your first one. But I would also argue if you've got the money burning a hole in your pocket, just get a second track day or a third or a fourth, go buy some more tires. You're gonna need that money later on, I promise, if you're getting addicted to this. So you don't really want to spend it all right in the beginning anyway. But these are some things that I would put on your bike. We're gonna start at the back of the bike here. And I apologize that it is a little dirty still. It's been in here in the stable all winter and it's kind of gotten a little dusty. I gotta get her cleaned off, but track riding season is right around the corner. We'll get her cleaned up in a bit. But first thing, back here, it's kind of hard to see because it's under our stand, but this is a rear spool that you put your stand on. And if you look at it, we'll go look at the other side here in a second, but it is angled. And you can kind of tell that it's ground off. Not only are these spools super sweet because it allows you to put this rear stand on here. If you have a rear stand, well, if you don't have a rear stand, you should go get one because you're gonna need it to do maintenance on your bike, clean and lube your chain, adjust your chain. If you wanna change tires or you want someone else to change your tires, you don't wanna have to take the whole bike there and have them do the whole thing. Changing your own oil, all of those things, you're gonna need one of these stands. These make it super nice, easy, safe way to get the bike up on the stand. The other thing it's gonna give for you is a protection for this rear axle and your swing arm. So as you can see, I've put this bike down on the left side. That's gonna kind of be a recurring theme here. And this ground down. And there are some scratches on the swing arm. It was a used swing arm, but there is no wear on my axle or my axle nut. There's no wear on my swing arm down here. It all got taken up by this spool. And I'm so glad that I had that on there because it saved me from having to buy hundreds of dollars of parts for the back of this bike. That would be number one. Working our way up the bike here, we have a crankcase cover. There's a very similar cover on the other side, but we picked this side so we can show you once again, that's what it's gonna look like after you wreck the bike on this side. So if you think about if this wasn't here, directly underneath that is the cover that houses oil behind it. And if you scrape that on the ground that much, now you got a hole in the side of your bike, you're gonna have oil come out. There are two reasons that's bad. One, no oil on the bike running, bike blows up. Kind of the short, not so sweet of it. There's a little bit more to it than that, and I understand that. The other thing is that if you're spilling oil all over the track while you're riding, now the guys behind you have oil to drive through. And if you're in the middle of a turn and you just wrecked out, all that oil's in the middle of that turn, you're already at a full lean angle for most people coming through there. They're gonna hit that oil. They're using up 100 points of grip already. That oil makes it so that they don't have any more. It's gone. They're out, they're right on top of you. Everyone that comes in that oil afterwards is gonna be right on top of you. So having a crankcase cover can save you money, save you time, and it's also gonna save the other people on the track with you if you go down. And we're talking a lot about crashing today. Hopefully you don't track at your first crash day, crash day. Rewind. Hopefully you don't crash at your first track day. Some people do, some people don't. Kind of just depends on you. We're not gonna go into how to avoid that today. All of these protection things are things that can help you out if you do. If you're saying to yourself, well, I'm just not gonna crash my bike, Easton, why, I'm good. I'm gonna go so slow, I'm gonna be so nice and easy. That's great. Once again, you're required to have a suit and boots and gloves and a helmet, and you wouldn't think about going to the track without those things. Why would you let your bike go to the track without its protection? That's my argument for you. Crankcase covers, they got them on both sides. Go pick up a set. It'll save you some money and hopefully save some other people on the track. And these are one of the things that is required for racing. So if you get into racing, and most of the clubs in the US, you're gonna be required to have some sort of engine protection, specifically so that if you do go down, you're not spilling oil all over the track and stopping the whole day of racing. Moving right up from that, you can see this guy, once again, also ground down a little bit. This is a frame slider. We got our frame underneath there. and then a frame slider. The name kind of gives that away. It's a frame slider. When you lay your bike down on the side, your frame is what has your VIN on it, and it's one of the more expensive parts of the bike, not only from how expensive a frame is, but if you're changing out the frame, everything else on the bike has to come out, and then you get put in the new frame. Not something you want to do. So a frame slider is going to help you protect that frame. It'll take a lot of the impact. They're made of this kind of hard plastic to take the grinding across the asphalt, but also to take some of that impact so you don't put a crack in the frame if the frame hit the ground so quick. Once again, we're seeing this recurring theme. All of these things have slide and grind and whatever marks on them from laying this down on the left side and it sliding all the way across the track. And I came home, I looked everything over. My engine didn't have any holes in it. My frame didn't have any cracks or holes in it. My rear axle is perfectly fine condition, and it's all because of this maybe total of $150 worth of plastic pieces. That one's metal, but to go on the bike to keep it safe. Final piece of the puzzle that I have to talk about today that I think would make the best upgrade or the last do to your bike before you go is a front axle slider. So much like the rear was more of a spool for your tire stand, your bike stand. The front, not necessarily going to take care of that. Most front stands just sit under the fork or up in the triple tree, but it looks a lot like that, pretty much the same. We'll go ahead and install this here in a second, but it's going to do the same purpose, right? When you lay that bike down, it's going to prevent that front axle, and this little piece of plastic is going to take all that impact and take all that sliding, and much cheaper to replace than all the other stuff on the front of the bike. So these are nice and simple to install. There's a hole drilled in the middle of the axle rod. This guy just kind of goes through there. Not all of them are built like this. There are some different designs. And I said this was simple to install, and now I'm not gonna be able to get it into its center hole. There we go. It's gonna go all the way in, press into there, and the other side is just gonna screw on that other side. So once again, what this is gonna give you is protection for all of the stuff around here. One, your axle rod on both sides. And then two, you got your brakes up here, you got your forks, you've got your brake discs, your wheels, and all of those pieces are very expensive. So this little 50, I don't have prices for you guys today, and I apologize for that, but they're not very expensive. Also pretty simple to find. Do recommend checking out Sport Bike Track Gear. They'll have all of this stuff on there, but it will save you so much money by putting this little bit of protection on your bike. When you go down, or if you go down, will save you the money. So please spend your money on this stuff rather than putting power in your bike, not being able to use it anyway, and then wrecking your bike and having a bunch of other stuff to spend money on. Okay, the only other kind of couple like wear parts that I would say, if you're looking to spend a lot more money and you want to just get these done with and go for it, and they can kind of give you some opportunity to customize your bike to you a little bit better. You got your rear sets back here. If you go down, your rear set's 100% gonna drag on the ground. There's really no getting over that, but a lot of the aftermarket rear sets are gonna have a replaceable foot peg. So that makes it a little easier. It's easier to get like this individual part, and then you can just replace that part, not spend so much money in the future. You can also keep those on hand as they grind down from crashes over the time, whatever, crack or break. Small replacement part instead of the whole thing. The other side of that is generally if you get a set of aftermarket rear sets, you're gonna get pretty adjustable ones that allows you to move your foot position up, down, forward, back. I would say side to side, but that's just you that will do that, and give you a better hook up here based off where your leg is. That would be something good to spend your money on. Up the front of the bike, you got aftermarket levers. They give you the opportunity to have some adjustment as far as how in and out they are. Everyone's got different length fingers. If you got shorter fingers, you're gonna want your levers a little closer. If your fingers are longer, you can have them further out. You want that to be comfortable, easy to grab, especially that brake lever, because you're gonna be doing that a lot. And with that, a lot of the aftermarket levers will have a little replaceable end on the end, and not a wear end, if you will. So once again, if you go down, the chances of your lever hitting the ground pretty high. So they put that wear product on the end there so that when you go down, you can just buy a little $5, $10 replacement bar end or lever end and put it on there. Right behind that, aftermarket clip-ons. The clip-ons, when they're aftermarket, are a lot easier to adjust. You can get ones that go up and down, further in and out, all the way. Like you could have your bars up here like this if you wanted. I don't recommend doing that, but you could. You can have them way back like this. I also don't recommend that one, but it allows you to kind of adjust them where you want them, wherever's most comfortable for you. And they have different options for how high and low they are. Clip-ons, levers, rear sets, those are the things. Beyond that, I do have a video, top 5 best sport bike mods. That wasn't as track oriented as this video is, so if you wanna go check that out, it'll be up there. That's got some good stuff in it. If you watch that, you'll see me talk about exhaust at the end. The reason I said put exhaust on your bike, as I said in that video, is for your likeness of the bike. The most important part of a track day, or even racing, or whatever that might be, is that we all have fun. You're gonna hear that a lot. People say that about just about everything, but it's true. It's the most important part. Keep that in mind as you're doing all of this. And the parts and pieces that I was talking about putting on your bike today, I think in the end will allow you to have more fun, because if you put the bike down and you come back and you have a cracked engine case, or you have no rear axle nut anymore because it got ground off, or your frame has a crack in it, or your brakes are ground down and leaking brake fluid all over, your day's over, right? And if that happens the second or third session of the day, that's half the day gone. If you spend the money and time to put these little protection parts on the bike, if you go down, most likely you get your bike back, clean everything up, make sure everything's still good on it, and you head back out and ride. That's what I did when I wrecked this bike. I had all those parts and pieces. They saved the bike, saved me half a day of riding, or half a day of not riding, which in the end is also gonna save you money. As I said, if you're truly just out there itching to spend money and you just gotta do it, you can always upgrade suspension, you can always upgrade brakes, you can upgrade so many more things on the bike before you get to power. And I promise, if you put that money into more track days and save it for tires, you're gonna want a tire fund eventually, I promise. You'll have more fun that way. So let's stay away from the power upgrades. As I said, you veterans in the comments, please let me know if I'm speaking truth there. I do believe. I know I can't use all the power. I know my first track day, I was nowhere near using all the power. Sure, it's great to hit that front straight, but even an older Yamaha R6 making 115 horsepower is still gonna blow your mind when you hit the front straight and actually get to open it up for the first time. Power is not where we need to be focused. Let's focus on safety for ourselves and safety for the bike. Let's have fun at our track day. Once again, please subscribe to the channel. Throw your comments down in that comment section. Let's all go read those comments, learn together. And I should have a video coming out here in the next few weeks about installing all of these pieces on a bike. Probably not this one because they're already on this bike, but so check that out. Stick around. Thanks for being here. Enjoy.